What's up, guys? Once again, thank you for joining in on my channel. Today we have a pretty big important mod for the Subaru. We are doing what I believe, and pretty much most of every Subaru owner that I've talked to believes, that this is probably the most important modification you can do for your engine bay for reliability, longevity, just overall performance. If you're going to perform or just anything, this is the mod to do. And this is not the cylinder 4 mod. This is the AOS system, which is an air oil separator. Pretty fancy catch can, basically, in short term. So we're going to be installing the AOS system. I did go ahead and get the IAG one. A lot of people said that it's the best system on the market, and yes, it's a little bit more pricier, but at the same time, I wanted something that was proven, and I just wanted to get the best. And you know, it was like a difference of $100. I always tell people, and I try to stick to this as best as possible. You know, if you can't do it right the first time, don't do it at all. So I try to live by that, you know, especially in my GTO. Like, if I can't afford the part that I know is the better part at the time, then I don't buy it. I just save up and I buy the right part. I've done it in the past, and I won't lie, I've bought the cheap part version, it's broken, and I end up having to buy the expensive one because it's the one that lasts, it's the one that is proven. And so yeah, so I ended up just spending the money on the good one. So we are going to be installing the AIG AOS system today. So first step is going to be the taking off the intercooler for the car. So we're going to be basically popping off the intercooler real fast. Once I get that off, we'll start diving into the lines. We have to take off a bunch of like lines basically first, and then once we have that taken care of, then we can start running the lines and routing them up. I'll try my best to kind of show you guys in depth on what they're like, each step by step kind of deal. I'm just going to be following the AIG instructions, so you're gonna have to work with me a little bit because this is my first time installing one. So it doesn't look like too much of a pain. It looks like more just trying to follow precise instructions on getting the lines to the appropriate destinations. So let's go ahead and get the intercooler off, and then we will tackle that, and then after that we'll tackle getting some of the lines off. Alright guys, so now that we have the intercooler off of the car, the next step, according to the instructions, is going to be removing the valve cover PCV line. So I believe it's this line right here, which is the one that we're going to want to do. So it's going to be hard to see, but I'll try to point at it with the pliers. Let's see. So the pliers are pointing at it right there. So it's basically the one that's right above the plier right there. It's going to be the one that's facing, there's two lines down there, and it's the one that is closest to the front end of the car. So it's the furthest one to the front. You're gonna undo that clip and pull the line out, and then we're gonna go to the other side and take that one off, and I'll show you where that one is also. Now for the driver's side one, you're going to take that hose that was connected to the intercooler, the crossover piping. You're going to follow that hose. That's going to be the best way that you guys are going to be able to find what hose I'm talking about. There is almost no way in hell I can actually show you guys with the camera where it's going to be. So just trace this one, kind of wiggle it back and forth, and you can see it way down in there. It's going to be kind of a little bit of a pain to take off, but if I would recommend anything, get some long pliers, kind of like these. Makes the job really easy. So we're gonna go ahead and take that off, and then we'll go to the next step. I have run into a slight issue. I am supposed to, on the next step, remove the hose from the PCV sensor, but since this is a JDM car, the PCV sensor is supposed to be literally right here connected to the turbo inlet, but for some reason this I'm assuming the JDM cars just didn't come with a PCV sensor. I'm going to end up having to call IAG to confirm this, but I put it up on one of the group pages on Facebook, and hopefully someone will answer. But I'm just going to proceed to the next step. The next step is going to be to remove the throttle body. So we're going to remove the throttle body and end up going, once we remove the throttle body, then we'll end up having to remove a couple of the lines down there. So let's go ahead and remove the throttle body. I think it's 4 12mm bolts, and then we'll start removing the excess hose. Alright, so once we have removed the throttle body, what we're going to go ahead and do is you're going to remove the PCV system from the bottom of the intake manifold. So this little line right here, I popped it off already, and this is the line that runs from here and it's like a T to the PCV sensor. So it's like a little, I guess, Y. It's almost like a Y shape. You're going to pop that one off, and then you see the I already popped the bottom one off. There's 2 clamps down there. Go ahead and remove those 2 clamps, pop that system off, and it's going to look like this, along with the other piece connected like that. So you're going to remove that, and then we're gonna go on to the next step. I believe I'm gonna run into a slight issue due to this being a JDM car. I believe the issue that a lot of people run into is this PCV little inlet is a different hose diameter. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to, or go and get a part. I believe they sell the JDM, or they sell the US version one, which is a little bit different of a system, or just a little bit different of a diameter for the nipple to slide over. So I'm gonna probably call Subaru real fast and see if I can get that part. But other than that, I think we're pretty good so far. So let me call that first, see if I can get that part real fast, and then we'll go to the next step. All right, so we've came into a little bit of snag. I ended up having to order the basically that PCV valve from O'Reilly's. You do have to replace it with the US version if you guys do have the JDM one. So let me go ahead and show you guys. I went ahead and took off the PCV valve. Basically just screws in right below the intake manifold right here. Next step is going to be to install the little Y fitting that they supplied with you. I went ahead and threw it on, and it goes to the spot where on the top of the crankcase is. So we're going to throw that on, or we already threw it on. And next step is going to be to install your actual AOS. You're gonna have to remove the wiring harness. Luckily for mine is basically already done, because this car has been engine swapped, so it's kind of out of the way already. Basically you just have to remove it and get it out of the way and unclip it, and we're going to be throwing in the AOS attached to those 2 little holes right there. So let me go ahead and get the AOS and we'll throw it on. I went ahead and mounted the brackets. That was, not gonna lie, a little bit of a pain in the butt. I think the biggest issue was just trying to figure out which like position I want the bracketed in. This kit is for 2004 STI, so I couldn't imagine that it was, you know, meant to go on a 2002. The biggest issue I was having was I just couldn't get the basically the AOS system to get low enough without hitting the shield, without like hitting just a bunch of stuff. But then I also want to keep my strut bar, and it's like when the position that it says to come in with the instructions makes it sit too high, and it runs interference with the strut bar. So just a big kind of nightmare on that side. I'll tell you that I put it in the position one up from the one that it says to do in the instructions. So that seemed to be like the perfect little happy medium, as far as like position wise. Clearance, it clears everything still, but also allows for a little bit of room for the strut bar to still fit in there. So now that that's up, mounted up, we're gonna go ahead and start running some lines. The first line that we need to run is going to be the drainage system to the uh, basically the PCV system, that little coupler that we just put on with the little spring clamps. That's going to go on first. We're going to have to throw on some heat shield because you're running it right past the turbos and downpipe. So it is going to be a really hot place. So you don't want the line to get burned through. So let me go ahead and cut the hose to length and shove on the heat shield, and then we'll go from there. Guys, I went and done and did it. I went down the rabbit hole, and there's no coming back after this. I got stuck on this IAG AOS install, and just one thing led to the next, and I'm now, like, you know, deep into other serious projects on the car, and I told myself I wasn't going to do this, but I ended up doing it anyways. But oh well. I'll give you guys an update on the AOS system. So far, the AOS is basically installed. I'm just waiting on a fitting that has to be special ordered, and so I'm basically can't finish the install until that is done. I will go ahead and show you guys and explain, and I'll show you guys, give you a run through on what else needs to be done. I know I kind of left it off like a couple clips ago, open-ended. So I am stuck on this fitting that goes right below the throttle body. Is your PCV like fitting or something like that. The JDM cars come with this huge fat side, like, you know, nipple, I guess, and you need the skinny one for the AOS system. And so I had to order that from IAG. It won't be here for a couple of days, and I'm like, I can't finish the install until that gets done. So kind of stuck on that, but I'll go ahead and show you guys the routing of the piping for the AOS. Basically, that's all. I think that's the most important part. So for this top one, you guys are going, this is going to be your driver's side valve cover. It runs all the way over here to your driver's side valve cover. Then you have your passenger side valve cover, which is this second one down, goes all the way to your passenger side valve cover. Then you have your blocks side PCV valve. This is where the Y comes in, the Y fitting. This one is basically runs from here underneath your turbo into that Y fitting, into the top of the Y fitting right here. Then you have your drain line, which is the one on the very bottom. This one is very important. IAG said do not let this go parallel or uphill at all. You do not want it to back up. Make sure it's always downhill. So I cannot stress that enough. Just try to make sure that that always is somewhat going downhill. Then if you go over to this side, this is going to be your turbo inlet. This is where you would be connecting to a PCV like sensor. I do not have that since it is JDM. It's like the white sensor that they show on the instructions. Mine just kind of plugs right into the turbo inlet. Then you have this one that connects to the turbo inlet itself, kind of just with this little adapter. This one's very straightforward. Then you have your coolant lines. This is from the coolant line adapting to this, where the swivel joints. This is your right-sided one. If you guys can see that, this one goes to the actual coolant reservoir, and then you have your turbo inlet, or turbo feed coolant, which feeds your turbo. This is going to be the left one. Other than that, that is basically it. We're just missing that one that goes right to the bottom side of the throttle body. I just have to throw that line in once I get the fitting, but other than that, it is pretty much done. Now, when I said that I went down the rabbit hole, I kind of in the meantime was like, oh, like I'll just do some other stuff while I'm waiting for this stuff to, trying to figure out a solution on that like bottom side of the throttle body. So I was like, oh, I'll just try to change spark plugs. So then I ended up tearing up like half the car to get the spark plugs out. I have half of them done so far, and then I was like, you know what, I might as well do the cylinder 4 cooling mod at the same time. And I was like, since I have to drain the coolant now to do that cylinder 4, now I'm going to end up, I have some radiator hoses that I'm going to install. And so one thing kind of led to the next, and I was just like, you know what, car's going to be down for a while, I might as well just knock everything out at once. That way I can finally get to start really enjoying driving this car, and I don't have to be working on it that much more. So I will go ahead and go over and then actually forgot one more thing. On top of that, I was like, you know what, I need to do a brake job on this car. It is super this car really needs brakes really bad. The rotors are super warped, pads are super warped, and my good friends at Hawk Pads were nice enough to send me over a set of pads for the car, so I'm super grateful. Is their street performance pads. I'm super stoked to actually get these on this car. I don't know what pads are on these now, but it stops okay, but I really think it's going to stop really well with those new Hawks pads. So I ended up having to replace the rotors at the same time. So now I'm going to have to take the car's on jack stands right now. That is why it's on jack stands, because I'm going to be doing a full brake job on it. And then on top of that, I got my new wheels in. So we got wheels for the car, and I was going to test fit the wheels to see on if they needed any clearance. And upon needing or looking at the wheels, I was like, you know what, crap, I will go ahead and just show you guys. The spacing on this is a little bit not good for my liking. I would like a little bit more clearance on the back side of the strut. So I was like, you know what, now I'm gonna have to throw a spacer on it, and since I'm throwing spacers on it, now I'm gonna need to throw extended wheel studs. So that's why I said that I kind of went down the rabbit hole. One thing led to the next. So I have a lot of stuff that I gotta get done, but I will definitely bring you guys along for it. And I think today I'm gonna probably end the video here. We'll start up the new video on like finishing the rest of the car. I think we'll probably do brakes on this guy first, while everything on the top side of the engine, or everything in the engine base, kind of at a standstill until I can get that PCV fitting for the car. Other than that, I think we're kind of stuck. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I really do hope that you guys would subscribe to my channel. Like I said, we have 1,000 subscriber goal for the end of the year. I think we can do it. And if you guys do want to follow me, I haven't been putting this in, but I do post a little bit more on Instagram. I try to just, I don't know, it's just easier for me. But my Instagram is down in the description below. If you guys want to, go ahead and follow me there. I have both my cars there. I post a lot of stuff for my GTO, and I've been posting a lot of stuff on the Subaru. But I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.